Okay, so those are the three vocalics that go together in the first category: rate, volume, and pitch. And then we have two more: articulation and pronunciation. What is articulation? Articulation is how the words come out of your mouth. So thinking about the shape your mouth makes and, whether I'm mumbling my words together like this or whether I am talking very clearly, you can hear a difference in how my words are coming out of my mouth depending on how I do that. You see the difference? And it's tempting to move right to pronunciation, which we'll talk about in a second, but I think thinking about articulation, can be very personal, that everybody has a certain way they say things. Um, that the different people, we have a joke in my family. I apparently say my last name different than my mom and my sister do, and the rest of our family. Apparently, it's supposed to be Orcholski, and I say Orchalski, and I don't know why. You would think since we're all in the same culture, we'd all say it the same, but I don't know why I articulate that word differently. Pronunciation is when you combine articulation. Oh, I jumped ahead. You know, articulation. I need a pen. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So, one of the ways to not only feel how your mouth is articulating words, but also how to teach yourself better articulation is to get a pen. You're going to take the pen and you are going to put it in your mouth. You're not going to stick it straight back. Put it so that like you could put it under your nose. It's like, you could, in theory, I don't know, is it perpendicular? But then you're going to put it, horizontally in your mouth. You see that I have a pen in my mouth, and it's harder to understand me because I put the pen inside my mouth. Don't do this yet. But if I work really hard and move my mouth around the pen, you can understand me. I could even go far away from the microphone. When I'm in the classroom, I move out into the hallway. And if I'm working, you can understand, versus if I'm just talking with the pen in my mouth, it's a lot harder to understand. So, what you want to do is you want to take the pen and say something that you know, whether it's the ABCs, the Pledge of Allegiance, um, something you have memorized. And so, you should do this. Go do this, try it. And you want to keep the pen in your mouth long enough so that you can feel it around your jaw. So if you're doing the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the right, you'll keep going. And the trick is don't stop and then take the pen out. Take the pen out while you are still saying it so you can feel how the pen has made your lips form the words. This is especially good for people who are used to mumbling or who talk so fast that they don't form their words completely. Because with the pen, and I'm serious, go try this, um, you can actually feel, what that's doing. And then when you don't have the pen in your mouth will know how to work to form those words so that they're clearer for your audience. Pronunciation is just articulation plus culture. So I think we often think of accents, right? That like, you know, if I'm from Britain, I pronounce my words different. Eddie Izzard. I'm about to swear, so get ready if you're not into that. Eddie Izzard has this great bit where he says what does he say? He's comparing English words to American US words, and he's saying, you say uh forget what he starts with. You say schedule. He's British. We say schedule. He's a British transvestite stand-up comedian. You say schedule, we say schedule. You say aluminum, we say aluminium. You say uh, centrifugal, we say centrifugal. You say herb, and we say herb because there's a fucking H there. So thinking about, how different cultures pronounce words differently, but even thinking in terms of regions, um, or cultures within our nation. So obviously we have like a Southern dialect, right? And Midwestern. But even thinking, the word milk. Do you say milk or milk? Pillow or pillow? Um, my favorite is the thing you carry stuff in. BAG. Yeah, you say it first. Okay, then I say bag. And I've literally had people be like, "What?" Like they can't hear what I'm saying because I say bag. And apparently, most of the country says bag, bag, bag. I can't do it. I say bag, bag, or roof, roof. The roof is on fire. Whereas I know some people say roof. This is a lot more fun in class when other people who say things differently can say things. I'm working really hard to say them multiple ways. Now, if you have a very particular dialect or accent, it is tempting to feel really self conscious about that. I would recommend not. Obviously, you want your audience to understand you, and no matter who you are and what culture you're in, you should be working to do that. Um, but so you should be aware of that certainly, but you shouldn't have to apologize for your dialect or how you pronounce words. You should embrace that. That's part of how you sound as an individual. Um, yeah, so be aware of your dialect, but don't stress out too much about it. Okay, so we have the vocalics. These are the 5 vocalics. Now, why did I put them in these categories? Um, the term oral means mouth, and the term verbal means words or language. So, blah, woo, 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 that's oral. That's oral noises. Verbal, of course, is when I'm doing language. As you may know, I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan. She turned one into the other. Ra, ra, ah, ah, ah. Roma, Roma, ma. I mean, those are just oral sounds, but she turned them into like verbal language, Gaga language. Um, Rate, volume, and pitch are always happening. Whether you're doing oral sounds, which come in to play when you're doing nonverbal communication, like See, when I make that noise, you've heard someone make that noise, right? My mom does that when she's either interested or pretending to be interested. Right? She'll do that. And you can do that fast or slow. Mm. So I can use rate. You can use volume. Mm. Right? And I'm clearly using pitch. I'm moving up and down the tonal scale. Um, Same thing with words, right? We know how those 3 work with words, but they can also work with oral. Rate, volume, and pitch can be both oral and verbal, whereas articulation and pronunciation only happen in verbal communication. You can't articulate a noise, right? You can't pronounce a sound, right? So that's why I make sure to sort of split these so that you know when and how they're happening. Now, you also have maybe started to notice how all five of these connect to each other. That I'm very rarely just accenting or using one, but almost always my rate is combining with my volume, which is combining with my pitch and therefore intonation, which is impacting how the words are formed and therefore how they're pronounced in my culture. Um, and yeah, so all of these really work together to enhance and impact how we verbally and vocally communicate. That's voice, y'all.